We are on full Zeke watch. Ezekiel Elliott, a no-show. Instead, a source close to the situation tells me he went to Cabo.
You don't have to have a rushing champion to win a Super Bowl.
You hear that, Zeke? Down in Cabo, you hear that?
We have officially reported, and he's late.
The boats are burned right now.
Pay Zeke the most and to pay Dak the least. That's not how a team is built.
He's trying to get Zeke back to camp. It's not going to happen that easily.
Which means that Zeke's going to have to fold.
Where is Zeke?
Because we know wherever he is, he's doing things the right way. He's getting himself ready.
Zeke who?
Oh, come on.
Clarence Hill.
Jared, you crazy.
Is on. It continues. We're talking all things Cowboys in just a moment. This is Good Morning Football presented by Payday. We're live in New York City. That's one of Kyle's favorite candy bars.
All day. It's my first round draft pick. That is my number one pick. I'm a big Payday guy. At the airport, I get the log size one. Forget about it.
Because you're nuts, just like the
That's right, baby.
Tuesday, August 27th. My name is Kay Adams, Nate Burleson, Peter Schrager, Kyle Brandt. We're all a little nuts because we're just 9 days away from kickoff.
That's right.
That's it.
And the energy and the whole table, you can just feel that
feel
it's
it,
coming.
Kay.
Yeah, it's time for the lead block.
Time for the lead block.
So we mentioned the Cowboys. We've been talking about Zeke and Dak and Elliott and Amari all offseason long. But while our attention's been on the offense, their defense has been preparing a stellar season. With more, here's our very own Jane Slater.
Thanks, Kay. Well, the Cowboys' defense has performed admirably, even in the absence of their full complement of weapons this training camp. Last week, though, we saw the activation of defensive lineman DeMarcus Lawrence as well as Tyrone Crawford, and on Monday, Byron Jones. Byron Jones made that switch from safety to corner and had a breakout season last year. It also earned him his first Pro Bowl selection. As he enters the final year of his contract, they're hoping for big things from him. But as Garrett told us on Monday, they are not expecting him to be a full participant this week. They're going to get him going slowly. So that means his week 1 status still a little unclear. As for some other injury notes, the offensive lineman Tyron Smith as well as Zach Martin both being held out of practice this week as they deal with some back injuries, as well as wide receiver Amari Cooper, who continues to rehab that left foot. All three, though, are expected back for week 1. Okay?
Thank you so much, Jane. And I'm keeping my eye on Michael Gallup, who showed some chemistry with his quarterback in the third preseason game. But it's all about Zeke Watch. Maxim Magazine. Kyle has a subscription.
Oh, yeah.
And they released an interview with Zeke Elliott that he did back in July. It's important for everybody out there watching to note this was before the holdout, before the comments from Jerry Jones and company. And Zeke said, I love playing for the Dallas Cowboys. I love the organization, my teammates. I do want to be a Cowboy for the rest of my life, and hopefully that's a possibility. But even Emmitt Smith, the greatest running back ever, ended up going to play a couple of years for another organization. So it's just the nature of the game, but I want to be a Dallas Cowboy for as long as I can. Again, these comments were in July before officially holding out from training camp and all that. And we've talked about this so many times, guys, at the breakfast table, outside, away from the breakfast table. And it gets to the point where this becomes a question. Does Zeke need to miss games to prove that the Cowboys need him? Is that where we are?
Yes, 100%. At this point, you're fully committed, so you might as well go all the way. There's no such thing as halfway crooks. If you're going to sit here and say, I need all the money in the world, you can't right before the season starts say, all right, well, just give me what you think I deserve, and then I'll put the uniform on. No, you got to stick to exactly what your morals are. And if you feel like you're not being respected as one of the best running backs in the league, 2 years out from your contract being over, then sit out. Yeah, go ahead and see if they can work it out without you. Because I think we're all in agreement that the team isn't as good when Zeke is sitting in Cabo. So let's see if he can stick to that while he's out there relaxing.
They have 2 years left on his contract, and they can use the franchise tag twice. So sit out sounds great in theory, but at some point you run out of money, and you're sitting in Cabo, and it's now November, and you're 600 pounds, and you're wondering, when am I going to get back on the field? This is something where both sides want to get this done. The other quote in this article from Maxim, which I read, have a subscription. Hello.
Yeah. Talk about it.
Until the very recent deal with Gurley, I think there was an undervalue of the running back position. This is what Zeke said. But with guys like Gurley getting drafted so high, then me, and now guys like Saquon, and all in the first round, I think we've done a great job of bringing back the value of the position. That doesn't align with what's reality. In reality, these teams are letting these rookie contracts go the full 5 years, letting these guys walk out the business, and Todd Gurley's the outlier, not the norm. I think it's a very interesting contract because Zeke says it right. It's not just him. Coming up soon is Christian McCaffrey. It's coming up is Alvin Kamara. Coming up is Leonard Fournette. And eventually Saquon. All these guys are going to be looking at their numbers before the new CBA is done, saying, wait, do we get that Todd Gurley money? Or are we going to be treated like Melvin Gordon just has been, which is, hey, we offered you $10 million, take it or leave it. Fascinating how this plays out. I don't think Ezekiel Elliott will see Todd Gurley money. I don't. But I also don't think it's crazy if he does see some sort of deal before this thing is done, because Jerry is a reasonable man at some point, and I think Ezekiel Elliott knows that at the end of the day, he's not going to sit out the entire season, 2 more seasons, and then go through 2 franchise years to make a point on this.
I'm not saying the Cowboys aren't being reasonable, but they do seem dug in. So I'm wondering where that's going to come from, them coming. I don't get that.
The rubber has to hit the road. There has to be some middle ground. I don't think he's going to get Gurley. And when obviously Stephen Jones came out and said, well, Gurley was the standard, but now Le'Veon Bell's the standard already, we see it going down. But somewhere between $10 million and $15 million.
Well, will he see that money? I mean, will he see the field in the opening game? It's your classic nuclear option. Like, just all in. I'm starting to think that he's not going to be out there. I really don't think we're just, guys, we're so close to the game, and we don't really know what kind of shape he's in. I mean, if he did show up, and I keep thinking about one of the sound bites that came from the Jones family about we're not going to sacrifice the long-term future of this team. They're like, we know he's great. We know Zeke. We know Tony Pollard is not Zeke. There's no mystery there. We also know we have a lot of young players. We think we want to be good 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years from now. And if we say, well, screw it, we blinked, let's just pay Zeke whatever he wants to get him out there, that's going to lose games for them in 2020, 2021. I think the Cowboys are #dug in. And if Zeke doesn't want to take the deal, then you can stay in Mexico. We're going to go to the field with Tony Pollard.
I'm starting to think that Zeke sitting out, it would have to take him sitting out and them struggling to get this deal done. But I like hearing the optimism that
I think so. My tune has changed on this in the last couple of days, just knowing how close the season is.
Yeah.
I would think if I'm Ezekiel Elliott and they offer me north of Le'Veon Bell, which is, say, around 14, but south of Todd Gurley, you have to, I mean, whether or not you're the highest paid at this point,
Right.
2 years left on your contract, I think you have to accept that.
But if you're in a contract negotiation, this is to all of you, guys have all been in contract negotiations, and you already feel like you're not valued enough, and you already, like, one side's insulted, the other side's insulted. At what point does pride come into play with an NFL player who thinks he's the best, who's comparing himself to Emmitt Smith in Maxim articles, where you let that interfere, where you let hearing that those sort of comments, Ziku out of Jerry, prevent a deal from happening? That's more of why I'm thinking it's not going to happen, because I think at some point, and you can tell that Jerry Jones has some feelings about this as well. There's emotions involved here and pride.
The better question is, when doesn't pride come into play? This is the NFL, and you're dealing with men. We are egotistical maniacs, and every guy is attached to his dollar with his hand on his pocket, trying to figure out how to better themselves. And it starts with the owners who run these teams like they run businesses. It starts with the players who want to get every red cent that they're deserved. So you're looking at two sides that's sitting back saying, no, that's my money, Jerry Jones. No, that's my money, Ezekiel Elliott. And now they're trying to figure out where the split is. That's where the difficulty comes.
But doesn't the pride also kick in at some point when you're suspended for 6 games and you're sitting at home and you're trying to be a professional and you want the Cowboys? I mean, where's the pride there? And then the second question is, how about the pride of the franchise quarterback who's sitting there like, hello, anybody home? I'm Dak Prescott. I don't have a contract either, and we're whining to Zeke about in some magazine about he hasn't been paid.
Right.
What if Zeke does get it? Listen to Zeke get this afternoon. Dak's gonna be like, pie, like, I'm the guy. I'm the pie maker. What the hell's going on here? So I just said I can't see him giving Zeke a big offer before Dak. I think he's going to miss games, and it comes right from Maxim Magazine. Lacey Chabert.
Do you think it's Lacey Chabert?
That's the home girl. That's
mean
it.
Girls, toaster strudel, love it. Do you think it's just a business decision for both sides, or from Zeke?
No.
It's complete. Like we've gone way past that. That's why I think it'll be dragged out.
I do too. And listen, I don't want to keep dragging up off the field stuff. I don't relish in it. But if you're investing in Zeke for this next several years, dude, I'm not even sure we can necessarily trust you. There's been several incidents here, and if there's another one that screws us.
So Schrags thinks he's out there week 1. You guys think what, week 2, week 3, or when they're struggling, or what's your best guess?
It's the ultimate theater. It depends on what happens in the games. History repeats itself. The Cowboys could do nothing without Emmitt. And by the way, that Cowboys team without Emmitt was a reigning Super Bowl champion who was way better than this team. And they folded. So if Zeke sits out, the ultimate theater is Giants-Cowboys week 1 because it reverberates everywhere.
I'll add another layer to this, and we haven't talked about this at all, just because we assume that Ezekiel Elliott is in Cabo training and he's in great shape.
That's
and
what we hear.
Come up and pick up the playbook. Listen, he's been out a few weeks now, and they have a new offensive coordinator named Kellen Moore. And I can tell you from firsthand perspective, there's a lot that you learn and a lot that is put in the playbook in preseason. So if you're sitting back, Ezekiel Elliott saying, oh, man, when I get back, they're going to hand me the rock. I'm going to catch up the backfield. We're one of the best screen teams in the business. I'll be good. But what about the 15 to 25, maybe 30 plays that Kellen Moore put in and said, this is what we're doing, and this is how I need you to run these plays. That's something else we're not talking about. It might not be smooth sailing even if he does show up.
Okay, you mentioned negotiation. Sometimes they get personal, all this stuff. That's why they hire agents.
Yeah.
And this is where the agent has to make his money and say, hey, this is a good deal on the table. We should accept
Let's
this.
fall on the sword.
Or the agent says, let's dig our heels in. You know, last year, Adisa Bakari was Le'Veon Bell's agent and said, let's go for this. Let's dig our heels in.
Right.
I will advise
I'm
you
not
to do that.
scared.
Because he was an unfettered free agent at the end of the year. Ezekiel Elliott has no out. He's got 2 more years and the franchise
Doesn't
tag.
make sense. He should
so
get in there.
Rocky Arsenault's down there with him in Cabo right now. Marshall Faulk is training him. It's a whole to-do. Someone think about this long term and say, hey, maybe we accept a deal if it's sensible, or let's just report to camp and earn that money.
Well said. Tony Express until then.
Yeah.
That's it. If he's good,
Tony Pollard
it might be a wrap.